Okay, welcome. Bienvenido. Está en su casa. Let's join this great senior woman leader conversation today. Really appreciate everybody and thank you for your patience. I should have probably tested that link. I just used the same one each time, but something went awry this time, and I'll make sure that does not happen again. But appreciate you all. I want to start off by I've got a link that I want to put into the chat for everyone. Can you all see the screen where it says the responses here? Y'all seeing that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to put this in the chat box. So what this is, it's a link to our survey that will help us drive the rest of the topics for 23, 24. I know it seems like it can't be already time for 23 to 24, but we're already gearing up for that. So if you all could just copy that link and just give us your opinions on topics you would love to hear about for our lunch and learns, that will really help us formulate what we want to tell you all, and also be looking for guest speakers for presenting. So without further ado, I would love to turn it over to our famous Janet Eaton and Miss Donnita Rogers. They're going to talk to you all about hiring, onboarding, evaluating coaches, and staff. Take it away.
Thank you, Paige. It has been a wild Wednesday, a great Wednesday, but hey, like you said earlier, if you can't laugh at yourself, what can you do, right? So I am Janet Eaton-Smith. I am the Vice President of Athletics at Lourdes University in Sylvania, Ohio. I'm in my 5th year here, and got an opportunity to enjoy the cold weather, but it's beautiful because I'm surrounded by some beautiful people, and I'm thankful for that. Prior to Lourdes University, I was at Indiana State, recruiting coordinator on Division I women's basketball. Had a great time in Terre Haute, Indiana, working with some really good friends there. Prior to Indiana State, I was at Wiley College, home of the great debaters in Marshall, Texas, warm weather, but it was part of the Red River, definitely NAI, had a great time in that area. So I was there about 5 years. I started out as associate AD women's basketball and got promoted to be the athletic director, but had a great time, learned a lot there, grew as an individual, grew as a professional. Prior to that, I was at Lamar University, women's basketball, and had an opportunity to grow and come into my own. And my journey started on the high school circuit. I was a high school AD, high school basketball coach for many, many years. So once you get 50, your mind goes blurry and you just start wearing glasses and you just take it for what it's worth, right? So I hope today is beneficial for everyone as Donnita and I share. So I will turn it over to Donnita and allow her to introduce herself.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donnita Rogers, and I am the Director of Athletics at Langston University, Oklahoma's one and only HBCU. I have to get that in there. I grew up in small town America, went to a Class B school called Taloga High School in Western Oklahoma. I went to Northwestern Oklahoma State University. At the time was an NAIA school, currently a NCAA Division II school. Had a great career there, went on and started out with some assistant coaching in the girls basketball, and had to do a couple of years of volleyball. And no, I knew nothing about volleyball, very little, but learned a lot being put in that situation. After that, I went on to coach at Langston University for 13 years, and then moved on to Grambling State University. Was there 4 years. Then I had the opportunity to coach boys 3A basketball for 2 years in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was the first female to coach boys basketball in Caddo Parish. That was a great time. So I feel like sometime there'll be a chance to talk about when women are put in positions and there's no one really like you at that time that you know of, and what you do to figure out, create the narrative for a position. So that was interesting. I always said I was going to write a book on that time, but anyway, that's for another presentation. And then the other part, I wanted to just to share that I've been in the role of athletic director here at Langston University for 8 years. And it's been a crazy ride. I think the best thing about being an athletic administrator, as you guys all know, is that we never have 2 days alike. Nope. So that's the best part. Okay, and Janet, I'm going to hop on in, and I'm going to ask you, Janet, to kind of talk a little bit about your hiring practices. We talked about this earlier, and I want you to share, and this is probably going to be the longer part of my presentation today, some things that I want to talk about, a hiring practice that we're using here on our campus. So Janet, I'll let you share a little bit, and then I'll jump in on hiring practices here.
Okay. Thank you, Donnita. Again, today is just really sharing of what we have done and have decided this works for us and how we're doing it. So it's just opportunity to put nuggets or tools in your toolkit as you grow and evolve as senior women leaders. So for me, it's just, you got to know what you're looking for when it comes to hiring in the position that you want. You got to have an idea already shaped in your mind, the type of person, the direction your department is going, the direction you want that particular sport to go, understanding what you're doing. And in that process, as an AD, establish a short list for yourself, recruit people in your mind, create a document where you feel like it's yours and you have a short list for every sport as you observe, as you go to events, as you have conversations with people. We all interact with people on a regular basis. If you see this assistant coach, this up and coming talent that fits what you're looking for and you think would be a really good fit on your institution, you're creating that short list that you just have in your little private archive and that you're actually keeping for yourself. But the biggest thing is to understand what you're looking for and know what you actually want. Be patient in the process. Don't ask people to rush you. Don't ask people to force you. Don't allow them to force you in a timeline. Parents can be overwhelming. Student athletes can be overwhelming, but you understand different parameters. Some people do a 30-day advertisement process. Some people do just internal and let them kind of figure it out. Some people don't even open up and advertise at all. They just kind of let it come in, but know what you're looking for, but don't feel like you're being rushed at all. As an AD or as a person that is over hiring, you got to do the homework. You got to do the background. And I encourage everyone, don't just look at the references. Go outside the box and check the references. Make some phone calls with somebody they didn't put down. Do your homework. I know we all have that trusted friend that we lean on. Oh, this is who I recommend. This is who I recommend. But make sure you actually do your homework and making sure that you know who you're getting in. And my last little nugget that I want to offer is follow your instinct. Ladies and gentlemen, just follow your instincts. You know what is going on. You know what your instincts are telling you. So just make sure you do a good job and as you're hiring that candidate, but follow your gut instinct. And if your gut instincts tell you to start over, this isn't working, don't be afraid to start over and make sure you get the right person, because what you don't want is to hire someone again within the next 2 or 3 years. You don't want that. Turnover is not what you're looking for. You want to make sure you get the right person so you can have some continuity within your department. You can have some continuity within the program, and you could take your department to another level. Donnita?
All right, awesome. All right, y'all forgive me that I did not have my camera on. I'm probably the first one to start on the presentation, and you're just hearing my voice. So let's get after this hiring practices. So I actually have, I hope everybody can see this as well, the book, Who. I've left the information here on this slide.
There was in the bathroom.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so this book is written by Jeff Smart and Randy Street, and this has become a huge part of our campus community. I have to kind of share the background information on this. First of all, on the introduction part, it's who, not what. And it says the most important decisions that business people make are not what decisions, but who decisions. Who is your number one problem, not what. All right, so let me go back and give you some background information before this kind of consumed our campus community. Ms. Kinslow, Fache, and I will sometimes, I'll say once or twice a quarter, we'll just go off of campus and maybe work for a couple of hours when we've been in a position where we've had a lot of distractions and like we just need to focus and get some stuff done. So my church often allows us to go in the cafe portion. We have great Wi-Fi. We spread out on a table and we get ready to get after it. So last spring, after basketball season was over, we knew that we had 2 positions that were open, a men's and women's basketball position. We had been working on some items there, and I received a phone call from my president that he had given me this book that he wanted me to read. I'll say like maybe the week before. And so he was just like, he always calls me Madam AD. Madam AD, have you started that book I gave you? I was like, I have not started yet, but that's on my plans to get started on that this weekend. He was like, okay, but I could tell that wasn't the answer that he wanted. He hung up. And then I received a text message that I need you to close the office. I need you to leave what you're doing. And I need you to go home and read. And then I called him. I was like, did you just text me and tell me to go home and read? And he was like, yes, I want you to go home and read. You get through the first chapter. I'll call you. We'll talk tonight at 5. I need you to know what I'm planning to do with these 2 hires. So I was like, man, I think for Shane, I had just got everything settled. We were ready to roll. And I was like, the president just told me to go home and read. She was like, okay, I guess you're going to go home and read. So we pick up everything. I shut the office. I go home and start reading. And he calls me when he said. So I was pretty much hooked once I got into the first chapter of it. And so I just want to tell you, like, this book has permeated our entire campus. We were probably the first guinea pig on campus with it, with hiring our men's and women's basketball coach. And so I want to talk a little bit about the scorecard and competencies, which are a big part of the first chapter of this book. So I don't know, Ms. Kinslow, if you received that email from me, I need you to drop the competencies and desired outcomes into the chat if you have those. Yes, but I will talk about it. Okay, so the scorecard that you create before you get ready to hire someone describes exactly what you want that person to accomplish in that role. And it's not a job description. So when you're doing your scorecard, you're going to get caught into that. It's not extremely wordy. So the Who book is based on finding an A player for that particular job. All right. So you want to really focus on that. What does an A player look like for that role? It's a clear picture of what a person that's doing well is going to do. Okay. So the competencies for us, and I think Ms. Kinslow is putting those in the chat for you. Now, this is Langston's. This is what we developed. You may change yours. There may be something else that means more to you. And usually your competencies are somewhere between 5 and 8. All right. So when I first started doing this, I had like 12. This is all the stuff I want them to be competent at, but we had to narrow it down. So competencies, our competencies were detail-oriented, multitasking, recruits and retains A players, open to criticism and feedback, and accountable. All right, that's our competencies on the scorecard. On the desired outcomes, these are the 5 desired outcomes we wanted for our hire. 1, win the conference championship. 2, win a national title. 3, graduate at least 80% of our student athletes on the team. 4, increase and enhance the LU basketball brand nationally. And then 5, fundraise at least $25,000 annually for LU basketball. All right, and we'll get some questions on that later on. But I just want to tell you, if you're looking at our desired outcomes, our men's basketball coach right now just won the Senior Athletic Conference Championship, sealed the deal. We still have 2 games to go, but no one can catch him now. So they did that Saturday. So we can check off that one. I don't know about the national championship, but I hope he gets to check that one off too. He has a 3.12 team GPA. So we don't know about the graduate students yet. Increased the LU brand, basketball brand nationally. And I had him kind of write down or send me a text on what coverage he's had nationally. And we haven't even finished our season yet. So he's had 4 television interviews, done 7 podcasts, 6 radio interviews, and we've been featured 3 times in newsprint for the state. So he's checked that one off. And he's very close, I would say within 4,000 or 5,000 of raising his 25,000, and the year's not over yet. So I believe that this method works. And if nothing else, you can use the information from this book to help tailor some points for yourself and your department. It makes you look at the people that you're going to hire even more, I guess, with under a lens. There's some things that it also gives you the tip on how you do your interview. And it was like nothing we've done before either. So I can't tell you, you're going to read this book and then you're going to go, like the first 4 chapters are probably like the meat of hiring. And then you have to get yourself into the position of kind of conforming this to an athletic department. The book was written by like a CEO of Fortune 500 company. So it's a little bit different on that part, but we all understand the need for A players. And it talks about how to recognize a B or C player. And you definitely are going to try to run from a C player. And everything is focused on the premise that who you hire should be able to complete 90% of your desired outcomes. All right, so that's hard, 90%. And so one of the things about Coach Wright, when he took this position during the interview process, he did never back down on what he thought he could do. And he did say, I'm not sure I can win the conference the first year, but I'll know I'll be in the top 2 or 3 and I'll be in the hunt. I guarantee you that. And I don't know, this also puts a lot of pressure, because I've often talked to him about the amount of pressure he took on saying that he could meet every one of those competencies. But throughout the interview process, it became very apparent that we had the right person. And so I look forward to hearing your questions on that part. But the WHO method of hiring has taken over our campus. And because of our success with Coach Wright and that hire, Ms. Kinslow and myself now are a part of almost every hiring committee. If there's something that's out there, everybody wants, and bless her heart, she's taking on the brunt of all of that because I've been so busy with other things as well that I haven't been able to commit to the time for going through this process. It is a little bit longer. It's a lot longer than a normal hiring process, but I will say you will get to know the candidates much, much better than any other hiring process I've ever been a part of. But anyway, so it's a big thing now. Before our hiring committee starts, everyone asks, can you send over your score sheet? And so we know that we have to have our competencies and our scorecard all ready to go. So I know I probably took up more than my 10 minutes, Janet. I'm sorry about that. We're getting ready to move on to onboarding. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to talk a little bit first on that part, and Janet's going to go to town on this one. I was taking notes when we were preparing this on some of the things that she does as well. So I know that you're going to learn a ton from her. So on the onboarding process, she's going to talk a little bit about her 90-day process. And if you guys will go ahead and leave that slide up for her when she gets ready to get started, that would be great. I will say briefly on our onboarding process. Again, Fashay's been a big help on that. This year, we did have several new coaches with both doing hires for both men's and women's basketball. But we have a professional development day. We had it like the first week of June. And on that day, all the new people, every form that we use in athletics, we had on a jump drive. And so that, like, if you need a foundation form to do a purchase request there, it's on there. We have like a separation letter for student athletes that like quit or whatever, where we kind of know why they quit. Make sure that they understand that, you know, their scholarship will not continue. And so we have just a ton of forms that we used in the department throughout the year, and we try to put them in one place for them so they wouldn't have to go look for those. So that's a big part of ours. We also want to try to have a couple of meetings with them a week and meet with them on Mondays and really try to help them along the way. And I love to hear more about Janet's 90-day process. But that's pretty much what we do on ours. And we're kind of available at all times so like with Coach Wright getting here, there's a lot of text messages about who do I go for this person. We also scheduled meetings the first week. Our coaches came to campus with financial aid, with admissions. I'm not sure if we did one with like our food service as well, but we tried to introduce them to the heavy hitters on campus that they would have to do a lot of dealing with throughout the year. So I'll stop there, Janet, and pass that ball to you.
All right. Thank you, Donnita. Congratulations on your championship. I am going to steal the fundraiser. I don't know if you got the dollar amount out of your Who book, but I like that dollar amount. Mine is extremely low. And I know I have some ladies on here that are from Lourdes University. I'm gonna steal that. I like that 25 grand. I do. I like that. Mine is low. So I'm gonna definitely steal that one from you. But congratulations again on your success.
Thank you.
For us, when it comes to onboarding, it is a serious commitment for us, and it's something we love. So once you have identified that perfect candidate, you want them to feel welcomed, and you don't want anybody to come on that is uncomfortable, that is scrambling. So the first 90 days is extremely high touch process for us. We identify who has been hired, and we link them with a veteran. It will be great if they're in the same sport, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So I take in consideration personalities, and I have some troopers. I have some strong people that are on our campus that are in our department. And so we partner that new person with that veteran that can guide everybody through making sure that they're okay. So for 90 days, they have this period where you're checking in weekly with the AD or bi-weekly with the AD, but constantly weekly, or if not every day, with their liaison. It varies between if they need the full 90 days to get everything under their belt with understanding how we do our requisition order, understanding the commitments when it comes to the mandates that are on campus, because we have events that are mandatory. We have all campus staff meetings that are mandatory. We want to be included in. We have staff association that we want to be included in. We definitely don't want to feel like athletics is on an island all by itself. We have some religious affiliations that we make sure that our new people understand, and they go through training. That's probably one of the most exciting orientations, understanding the Franciscan values, understanding the history of our sisters. That is a wonderful opportunity. So that is incorporated in our 90-day process, making sure they understand what Lourdes University is and what it's about, and making sure the mission is upheld in all the things we do outside of athletics, and understanding this, that, and the other. Making sure that they work closely with our compliance office. And I think Joanne is on here. She's compliance, and she is our budget process, our budget manager, controlling and understanding your budget, being able to have access to all of the Teamsware, whatever software we have, whatever forms we have. We have a document, I'm sure like everybody else on here, you have this area where you can go pull all your templates, whether it be involuntary leaving, voluntary leaving with student athletes like Donnita shared earlier. We have all those templates that are already set up and ready to go, that they know that they have access to. And for us, we use the tools that NAIA offers, whether it be the educational software NAIA does offer. We make sure that within the 30 days, the coach does complete their champions of character. So we make sure of that. So within those 90 days, when they meet with me, they set goals. What are my goals that I want to do for 90 days? We go through those goals and we identify those goals. These are tangible. Some of them are just generic, that you know, you got to get your credit card, you got to get your keys, you got to get your ID, right? So we know all of that, but that checklist does help. Understanding that you need a parking pass, understanding that you need, make sure you got your insurance for the school, making sure you have as small things as a tax exempt form that you're able, when you start traveling, that you're going, that sometimes we forget about, but when the bill comes in, everybody's looking like, why did you pay taxes? So making sure that's taken care of. So at the end of the 90-day process, this is where you set the real goals. Well, I don't want to say real. This is where you set goals for yourself at the end of the year. This is how you evaluate yourself. Those goals are the ones that at the end of the year, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you recruit? Did you win? Do you have a solid GPA? Did you fundraise the X amount of dollars? Now, Donnita got a whopper out there, but did you fundraise and get the money that you needed to get? So for me, when it comes to onboarding, that 90 days is critical. In that 90 days, take it upon myself to make sure I understand their personality, because I know it'll take them longer to understand my personality, but making sure they understand that they're okay. I'm very fortunate. I would consider at Lourdes, I have a veteran crew. Example, we had one new hire this year, making sure he was okay and he was comfortable in understanding what Lourdes' footprint is about, how to navigate himself around Lourdes, and understanding what the WAC is about and how to navigate himself within the WAC, and then understanding NAIA. How do I navigate myself through NAIA? And so when you look at 3 different components of the sports world, how to break it down for them, a lot can happen in 90 days. It's about being planned and making sure. So that's our onboarding process and understanding how we do some things. When it comes to evaluating coaches, my biggest thing is understanding personalities and understanding everybody is going to be nervous. Me, you, and everybody else. I have a term that I use, I guess for myself. I don't know if anybody else ever heard me use it, but understanding emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? It is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, as well as recognizing that you have an influence on someone else. So what does that mean? Being aware of the other person that is in the room, being aware that if they're nervous, you're nervous. If you're nervous, you're going to make them nervous. We all know evaluations can be uncomfortable, but your job as the leader is to try to make it as pleasant as possible. We know conversations can be challenging. We know conversations can be difficult, but operating with a sense of integrity is key when it comes to evaluating. You're going back to those goals that person had put down after the end of their 90 days, and you are evaluating them on that throughout what you have done throughout the rest of the year. Me personally, I make it a point to go on the road, to watch, to see. People like, did you enjoy the game? I really didn't watch the game. I'm watching how players interact with coaches. I'm watching how coaches interact in hostile situations. I'm watching those scenarios that nobody else is thinking about watching. Every Lourdes employee or every Lourdes coach on here can tell you I'm very observant. And so that's my thing. I'm not a big talker. So Paige got lucky today. She got really lucky by letting me do this because I'm not a talker. I'm more observant than anything else. But my biggest concern and my biggest thing is making sure that you understand what is going on. Another thing that's a takeaway, understanding timing when it comes to evaluating someone. If you are, as a person, as an AD that have the power of the pen, so to speak, if you're going through some emotional times, if you're going through some distress, or you're just not in a solid, comfortable place, I encourage you not to have that meeting. You have to be aware of yourself. You can't control anybody else. You have to be aware of yourself. So take time to make sure when you plan those evaluations, it's in a safe place and a comfortable place. If that coach shares with you, mother is sick, troubles at home, is during that process, take in consideration and seriously consider rescheduling it to a time that accommodates everybody. Now, we all know we all got our headaches and we all have our hiccups with that coach that tries to push the needle, but you have to hold your ground. In the evaluations, you have to be focused and you have to be in an environment where you don't have a distraction. Everybody's phone go off 24/7. Everybody's email is blinking. Give that person your undivided attention and being able to lay out what you have and what you're doing and continue to operate in a level of integrity. What I do and focus on with the person that is a thorn in your side or your Achilles is the same way you focus and you treat the person that is that outstanding employee that you want to keep forever and that you're able to operate with. So as you look at those things when it comes to evaluating and making sure that everybody has a good process, my biggest takeaway is being emotionally aware of who you are and the person you're dealing with. Donnita? You on mute, Donnita. I don't know. Your camera not working, your voice not working.
Can we go back to the other slide? Unfortunately, she's way back in her office.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about evaluating coaches. We're still on that slide for me. I'm going to touch on just a couple of things. One of the things, how many of you guys have been in a situation where, let's say that you're using a Likert scale to evaluate your coaches, with 1 being the poorest, needs improvement, and 5, the best. How many of you guys have experienced times when someone is absolutely crushed because you gave them a 1 or a 2? All right, I feel like the evaluating process is also one of the first steps to kind of helping coaches develop a thicker skin. All right, so we may all suffer a little bit, like, you know, a 2 in an area dislike, and you may deserve a 2, and you may not. But I feel like that's a part of the process. Maybe you've had, like, our head coaches evaluate their assistant coaches and staff. And so sometimes I've had, I won't say the program, but I've had a coach come back with his assistant coaches, and I'm like, you gave them all 4s on this? And as many times as you talked to me about this particular assistant coach was doing this, I was like, here's the area. Why didn't you give them a 1 or a 2? And so they're like, well, I mean, so those things send out some signals as well. It's like we have to have honest and open feedback for us to get better. And it starts really with us and them processing what it's like when you do get a lower number on your evaluation. Another big point for me is that I do a self-evaluation on the same scale and the same evaluation tool that I'm using. Last year, I did one that was on Microsoft Outlook, the forms. Many of you may do Google Forms, however you want to use that. And I put all that information on there and send it to them. And they rate themselves on every area. And I have a couple of questions that are based on our Who book model on their competencies and how they did on those areas. And that will tell me a lot, because sometimes we can't get better if you saw yourself as a 5 on something and I saw you as a 2.
Right.
All right. So I need to see how they see themselves, first of all. So that's an important tool for me as well. Our president does like for us to do it every 6 months. And I will admit, like, if I look at the things that as an administrator that I need to get better on, it's on having the comprehensive follow-up after I receive these evaluation tools. But the 6-month one, by using the Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, that really helps me see a lot of data at one time and really kind of bring things in concisely and talk to coaches on areas where we're not on the same page and we're not seeing the same thing. That's pretty much it on that one. And we'll go ahead and change, you've already changed slides to staff. I will go ahead and talk a little bit about this, Janet, and then I'll let you wrap things up. So I do want to make sure that we have a lot of time for questions on our presentation. So we have about, I think all of us feel that way. When Janet and I were talking, we were just like, I don't want a cookie cutter staff. I want diversity. And I think that's extremely important so that we make sure that, you know, all of us are growing. Also, we want to have our student athletes to have a real world experience, right? So, you know, we want them to have to deal with people from different ethnic backgrounds, different religious viewpoints, and all of those things. Variety is good. And you hear that saying about variety being the spice of life. I think that really helps our athletic departments as well. And I really believe, and she'll talk a little bit about how her meetings go. At Langston, I meet with my staff every Tuesday morning, and usually it's about 30 minutes. If it's 45, we really got something rolling or planning for homecoming or something like that. But it's a touch point. And so, for instance, we meet via Zoom. Very, very rarely since COVID do we meet in person. They used to always be in person, but we get a lot done with Zoom. Everybody can log in, communicate, whether they're in the car, coming on their phone, or we're still in their office or somewhere else. So we really get great attendance and great feedback. Also with the Zoom meeting, I tell them, I just want to see your faces, everybody. I think that's I feel like that's like our family dinner time. And I think it's really important that we get to see each other. And like yesterday for Valentine's Day, we started out the meeting just talking about what we love about the university where we work, what we love about coaching these student athletes. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. All right, Janet.
Thank you, Donnita. I guess I could bring it on home. I'm in the fourth quarter. So yeah. When it comes to staff, everybody's staff is unique. And she and I both agree that we don't want a cookie cutter staff, meaning you don't want someone that's just like you. I don't need a yes person. If you know anything about my personality, I am not excited about the person who strokes my ego. I prefer that person that would challenge me and question me and push me to think outside the box and go from there. And so you want that person that helps make you better, to keep you on your toes and go from there. Variety is needed. I am very, very proud at Lourdes University to say we are diverse and in so many areas. We have different types of religion. I've learned so much about the Jewish religion and Jewish holidays. I'm excited that I've learned at this age, you continue to learn and grow. We have a variety when it comes to handicaps. We do have a coach that is an amputee and adjusting to their needs and making sure that we can accommodate everybody. So just proud to do those particular things. Don't be afraid of differences. I pride myself on people that think differently from me. I pride myself in people that can function. I'm not good with numbers. I think Joanne is on here. She can tell you that I know 1 + 1 give you 2. But when you start adding all those zeros, I have challenges. But having and identifying someone that's good in that area and allowing them to be empowered and allowing them to give guidance. And I still call them like, can I spend this? Do I still have this in my budget? And she was like, yes, Janet, you have that in your budget. So letting them feel empowered and letting them bring something to the table is key for us. How we function at Lourdes. Again, I have a veteran staff. We meet monthly. We meet the second Monday of every month. I know my women's soccer coach is on here. She hates it because in August, I'm in practice. You know what? I'm so sorry for you, Jackie. I love you. But so we meet monthly at 9 o'clock. We're 1 hour. 9 to 10. I don't play around with the time. We start promptly on time. We end on time. Depending on what's going on in that particular month or what's coming up is what we actually address. We try to bring in speakers based off of our needs. We have a new commissioner. For example, he was our speaker Monday as we touched on other little things. But I'm big on empowering and making sure other voices are heard other than mine. Again, I'm not that talker. So you're going to hear from the athletic trainer. You're going to hear from the SID. You're going to hear from compliance and all these different areas that's in our world. But we take pride in adhering to the time and adhering to the hour. Now, it is a mandatory meeting. So you don't get a pass unless you have a doctor's excuse or something. We meet hybrid. Sometimes it's face-to-face. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes we are on a Zoom and I am with Donnita. You have to show your face and be present, but it's a large crew of us. We're over 35 plus on our campus when it comes in the world of athletics. So we make sure we're always in hand and we're moving. My biggest thing is making sure my staff is involved. In my world of athletics, I got 3 things that I love. That's my student athlete orientation. I feel like that's my baby. The Gooby Awards, that's our end of the year awards ceremony. I feel like that's my baby, making sure the athletes get what they deserve and we're good to go. And I do something every year called a coaches workshop. That layout, that's the beginning of August. That's the one Jackie complains about. It's a full day and it lays out the expectations for the year. So you're not confused, you're not lost. You know graduation, you know the deadlines, you know the goals that are set before you. So you're allowed to plan your sport around all the other things that's based on the academic calendar and go from there. So I love my staff. Thank you guys for that are on here. I'm thankful for you guys. And I appreciate your love and support. So we'll open it up to question and answer at this time. And Paige, you could take down the shared so I could see everybody. I don't know who we got out there in the world. I heard Darnell's voice, so I'm excited. Hi, Darnell. So yes. Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hey. Okay. So yeah. So we're open for any questions. If you prefer to do chat, you could definitely do chat and go from there. Hi, Nancy. Oh my God, Nancy from Wiley College. See there? Yes. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any, you don't see anything. Paige, you got it? I don't hear or see anybody.
I don't see any extra comments. At the very beginning of the presentation, I had a couple of announcements, but I don't want to start those until if anybody else has anything to ask or say, or just wants to share something like, hey, Jill, I haven't seen you in forever. Girl.
Thank you, Natalie. Yeah, thank you.
It's fun to see. Well, all right. I'll just add real quick then. We are compiling just basically your voices of what you want to hear in these topics. Please grab this Google Doc form. You literally can just, it'll take you 2 minutes to go check, 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 check. These are my top 10 things I want to get presentations on for the next year. We will incorporate that in. And I'm super excited to announce that Cindy Potter, who is on with us as well, or she was a little bit ago, she has agreed to do the next session, which is going to be March the 8th on Wednesday. It's going to be on boundaries, work-life balance. How do I manage my current role? And in addition to everything else that you are doing, she's also going to be speaking at the BOSCA presentation on Monday. So she'll get a twofer on that presentation. The other thing that I was just I'm super excited, and really most of you on this call, now I'm seeing your faces. I love this. We are actually getting more of you to be highlighted, and we are going to be highlighting the women, the senior women leaders. This is still in the works right here, but it's going to be called Empowering Women and Celebrating Women's History. We did a little video on all of you who turned in your pictures. Here are all your pictures, and it'll link to your page. I see that Sheila is on, so how fun. I'll click to her, and it tells me all about her, and everybody gets to learn, which is super exciting. So we just are doing the finishing touches for all of you, and then we're going to have some words on belonging. We've got a great podcast to share, some resources for the SWLs, and of course, continuing on our Title IX. So any other ideas are completely welcome. We are super excited to launch that on March 1st. So yay. Thank you, ladies, for contributing. This has been so much fun.
Thank you all. I hope to see everybody in New Orleans, or some of you guys in New Orleans. So, hi, Iris. Thank you so much. And so, so hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Well, thank you. We can finish early since we did a great job, and we don't have a national office staff. Like I mentioned, everyone else is down at the Chiefs parade. I'm like the only one in the office, so they're all cheering the Chiefs. So I might go down and see if I can see a little Patrick Mahomes here in a second.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks, Paige. Bye-bye.